Nancy Drew and the Clue Crew. Chapter 1. What's the scoop? Can we taste the ice cream now? Bess Marvin asked. George Fine rolled two doubled up coffee cans on top of the picnic table. The middle can was filled with very cold milk, sugar, vanilla, and blueberries. I told you a gazillion times, Bess, she said. Not until it's ready. Unless you want mushy ice cream, 8-year-old Nancy Drew said with a giggle. Bess and George were Nancy's two best friends. They were cousins too, but as different as strawberry and fudge ripple ice cream. George was really into computers. Bess could fix or build anything, like the homemade ice cream maker George found instructions for on the web. Nancy had been counting the days until Saturday. That's when the new Jim and Barry's ice cream factory would open on River Street. It was also the day of the Jim and Barry's ice cream flavor contest. Whoever came up with the best flavor would win a special silver ticket. The ticket would allow the winner to come into the factory at any time for a free pint of ice cream. The thought of Jim and Barry's ice cream always made the girls' mouths water. They had neat flavors like squirrel nut crunch, gorilla vanilla, and cookie crumble. For the contest, Bess, Nancy, and George came up with a flavor called Clueberry. It was vanilla ice cream loaded with blueberries and a secret surprise, like a big juicy strawberry on the bottom. The best part, Nancy said, is the clues on each container leading to the surprise. It's like a mystery in every pint, George declared. What does declared mean?
Like he said.
Speak louder. And everybody knows we love mysteries, Bess exclaimed. That's because Nancy, Bess, and George were great at solving mysteries. They had even started their own detective club called the Clue Crew. Their detective headquarters were in Nancy's room. They carefully kept their clues in Nancy's desk drawer. George wrote their detective files on Nancy's computer. Can we taste it now? Bess asked, twirling a lock of her long blonde hair around her finger. Not until it's ready, Nancy and George said together. Just then, the sound of bells filled the air. Nancy would know that sound anywhere. It was the jingle of the Mr. Drippy ice cream truck. If you want ice cream so badly, Bess, George said, why don't you buy some from Mr. Drippy? Mr. Drippy? Bess answered. She gave a little shudder. I'd rather buy ice cream from a Godzilla. Mr. Drippy is Godzilla, Nancy said. He's the meanest ice cream man in River Heights. Maybe the world. The truck pulled up to the sidewalk. 3 kids walked over to it. Mr. Drippy leaned out of the square window on the truck. Without a smile, he began to bark. Fall in line, heads up, first customer, go. The first boy in line wore a baseball cap and a very worried look on his face. He gulped. Panda bar. Mr. Drippy narrowed his eyes. No, please, no panda bar, he declared. Next. A girl in a white t-shirt and red shorts marched up to the window. She threw back her shoulders and shouted, 1 chocolate ice cream pop, please, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Drippy nodded nodded as he handed the girl the pop. See, Bess whispered, Mr. Drippy doesn't give ice cream to anyone who forgets to say please or thank you. Nancy saw a boy inside the truck. It was Henderson, Mr. Drippy's son. Henderson was in the 4th grade at River Heights Elementary School. He was also the biggest brat in school. Henderson probably never says please or thank you, Nancy said. And he must get all the ice cream he wants. Forget it, George said. If we win this contest, we won't ever have to buy ice cream from Mr. Drippy again. As the truck pulled away from the curb, Henderson leaned out. "What's the matter, girls?" he sneered loudly. "Don't you like ice cream?" "We don't like you," George muttered under her breath. "At least Jim and Barry are nice," Bess said. Nancy brushed a wisp of her reddish blonde hair from her forehead. "Guess what? My dad read in a newspaper that Jim and Barry will be at the factory tomorrow," she said. "That's when we're supposed to sign up for the contest." "I'll be there too," a voice said. Nancy, Bess, and George turned their heads. Deidre Shannon was walking into the yard. Deidre was in the girls' third grade class at school. She usually got whatever she wanted, like her own website called Dishing with Deidre. "Hi, Deidre," Nancy said. "We're making ice cream." "What a conky dink," Deidre said. She held up a small red notebook. "I'm writing about the contest, so I have to taste everybody's ice cream. It's called research." What do you think about that?
She just wants to say like, "Oh, you guys did a very bad job at making this."
George tossed her dark curls as she laughed. "You mean it's called getting to eat a ton of ice cream," she teased. "Ha ha," Deidre said with a frown. "Our ice cream isn't ready yet, Deidre," Nancy said. "But Hannah has a pitcher of lemonade in the kitchen." Hannah Groom was the Drews' housekeeper. She had been taking care of Nancy since Nancy's mother died when she was only 3 years old. Hannah cooked the best vegetable lasagna, baked the best cookies, and gave Nancy the best hugs in the whole world. "Will Hannah give me one of her famous oatmeal cookies too?" Deidre asked, her eyes flashing. "If you say please," Nancy said. "I'm there," Deidre said, running toward the house. "Wow," George said. She stopped rolling to shake out her hand. "My hand hasn't been this tired since I instant messaged my pen pal in California an hour ago." "An hour?" Bess cried. "You call that instant?" Suddenly, Nancy heard a rustling noise. She thought it was a squirrel in the hedge until she heard a girl's voice hiss, "Nancy, Bess, George, who's there?" Nancy hissed back. A girl slowly stood up behind the hedge. It was their friend Kendra Jackson. Her shiny black hair was tied back in a tight ponytail. She wore a pair of black sunglasses. She looked very mysterious. She looked like a spy. "Hi, Kendra," Nancy said. "What's—" "Shh," Kendra said, putting her index finger to her lips. "I need you to keep a secret, a top secret." Do you know what the secret's going to be, or do you have a clue?
Not really.
What do you think the secret might be about?
Ice cream.
Kendra's Secret, Chapter 2. "We're good at keeping secrets," Nancy said. "We're detectives," George said. "Secrets are our business." Kendra walked into the yard. She was holding a blue and white picnic cooler by the handle. "I know," she said. "That's why I picked you guys to share my secret with." Bess bounced up and down on the bench. "I love secrets," she squealed. "What is it? What is it?" Kendra placed the cooler on the table. She lifted the lid. Nancy looked inside and saw a white styrofoam container. "It's my favorite for the contest," Kendra explained. "I made it with my grandfather's old ice cream maker." "Why did you bring it here?" Nancy asked. "I need another opinion," Kendra answered. "My mom and dad love it, but parents always love everything their kids do." Nancy watched as Kendra pulled the lid off the container. The ice cream inside was dark brown. "I call it chock full of chocolate," Kendra said. "It has chunks of chocolate inside, 4 kinds of chocolate." "4?" Bess asked. "I can only think of 2, Nancy said. Kendra laid the container on the table. She gave the girls each a plastic spoon. Ready, set, go, she said. Nancy stuck her spoon inside the container into her mouth. She felt the ice cream melt on her tongue. The chocolatey flavors exploded in her mouth like fireworks. Well, Kendra asked, what do you think? Nancy swallowed and said 3 words. Oh my gosh. George was still chewing on a chocolate chunk when she said, this ice cream is awesome. It's super awesome, Bess said. Kendra gave a little jump. Do you think it's a winner? She asked. What's a winner? What's a winner? All 4 girls spun around. Standing a few feet away and holding an oatmeal cookie was Deidre. Kendra stared at Deidre with wide eyes. She turned to her cooler and shut the lid. I've got to go, she said. Why did she leave like that?
Because she didn't want Deidre to know what she had.
Okay. Wait, Kendra. I know I told Nancy, Bess, and George something, Deidre said. She turned to the girls and said, she did, didn't she? Nancy said. George said. Bess shrugged and said, only because we're good at keeping secrets. Nancy and George glared at Bess. She was sometimes better at keeping secrets than keeping her mouth shut. Since when am I not good at keeping secrets? Deidre asked Kendra. Since you spilled the beans about Marcy Rubin's surprise party, Kendra said. And the time you told me what I'd be getting for my surprise Santa at school. Don't forget the time you told everybody my real name, George said. Give me a break. Everybody knows your real name is Georgia, Deidre said. She turned to Kendra. Tell me your secret, Kendra, please. Pretty please, with sugar on top. Kendra took a deep breath. Then she said, okay, Deidre. I invented a flavor for the ice cream contest. Cool. What's in it? Deidre asked. Why do you think Deidre's asking what's in it?
So she could probably take what she had in her ice cream and put it in hers.
Maybe. Can't you tell? Kendra said. Not that you'd steal it, but you might tell people about it on your website. Deidre's lower lip jutted out. Her face turned red. They can't have a fight, Nancy thought. Kendra and Deidre are good friends. I know, Deidre said, Nancy said. Why don't you promise Kendra you won't write her recipe on your website? Deidre turned to Kendra. I won't write your recipe on my website, she said. Cross my heart and hope to croak, drop an eyeball in my Coke. In that case, Kendra said. She lifted the lid of the cooler and pulled out the ice cream container. It's called Chock Full of Chocolate. It has 4 kinds of chocolate. Deidre wasn't listening. She grabbed a spoon, stuck it into the ice cream, then put it into her mouth. The girls watched as Deidre's eyes popped wide open. Right away, she began licking every drop of the ice cream off her spoon. I'll take a wild guess and say you like it, George said. Are you serious? I totally love it, Deidre cried. Chock full of chocolate is the real deal. Remember, Deidre, Kendra said, you promised. Your secret is safe with me, Deidre said. Kendra smiled. Good, she said. Who wants to come to my house and see my grandfather's ice cream maker? He used to make ice cream on the porch with his own grandpa when he was a kid. They had ice cream in those days, Deidre asked. This I've got to see. Nancy, Bess, and George decided not to go. They still had a pint of ice cream to make. The Clue crew said goodbye to Kendra and Deidre as the 2 friends left the Drews' front yard. I'm glad they're still friends, Nancy said. Bess was twisting her hair nervously. What if Kendra's ice cream is better than Clueberry's, she asked. That's one way to find out, George said. She lifted the lid off their coffee can ice cream maker. The ice cream inside wasn't rock hard, but it was firm enough to taste. One by one, the girls tasted their Clue Berry ice cream. "It's good," Nancy said, "but it's not chock full of chocolate," Bess sighed. "Maybe we should hide a strawberry and a chunk of chocolate at the bottom," George suggested. "Or maybe we should just hope we win," Nancy said. "I have an idea, Nancy," Mr. Drew said. "Let's have some of your ice cream for dessert." It was early evening. Nancy's father was barbecuing in the backyard. Mr. Drew was a lawyer. He liked helping Nancy with her Clue Crew cases. He always liked barbecuing in his favorite stain-splattered red and white checkered apron. "Sorry, Daddy," Nancy said. "Our ice cream is for the contest this Saturday." Do you think she's going to win?
Maybe.
What makes you think maybe?
Because they tried really hard to make it.
Okay. Do you think it's as good as the other ice cream?
No,
So do they really have a chance at winning?
not really.
Maybe, well, no. Mr. Drew pretended to look hurt. "But don't worry," Nancy said. "If we win the contest, we'll have a different gem and berry ice cream every week." Hannah walked over carrying a bowl of fruit salad with walnuts. Nancy's Labrador Retriever puppy, Chocolate Chip, jumped after her. "What about my desserts?" Hannah asked. "Those guys will put me out of business." Nancy wrapped her arms around Hannah's waist and gave her a big hug. "That will never happen, Hannah," she said. "Your desserts rock." The cordless phone on the patio table rang. Nancy rang to answer it. "Hello?" she asked. She did it?" Kendra's voice stammered. "I told you she'd do it, and she did it." "Who did what, Kendra?" Nancy asked. "Deidre," Kendra said. "She broke her promise." So what did Deidre end up doing?
Keep her promise
But what was her promise?
to not post her Kendra's recipe on her website.
Yeah. Do you think she's a good friend?
No.
Okay. Well, we're going to do an activity based on this chapter book, and we only read the first 2 chapters, but I'm thinking that maybe you can create like a representation of the story. So part of it, you'll have the first couple of chapters where you take little things that happen to highlight the chapter and the people in it, and then after we read another 2 chapters, we add some more parts to it, so then when you finish, you have this big thing that represents the story. What do you think?
Yes, I think that's good.
Okay, we'll start it today.